Yo guys, next on the Formula 1 calendar is Hungary. So today I'm going to be looking at a track guide to help you master the Hungaroring in F1 22. I'll be driving a complete lap of the circuit and showing you in detail where to place your car, when to brake, how to find lap time around the Hungaroring. Hopefully all of these tips will help you master this tricky track in F1 22. Hungary is a very downforce heavy circuit. It requires a very good aero balance along with brilliant rear stability. There are a fair few corners that can catch you out and will have the rear of your car overtaking the front if not perfected. So starting the lap around Hungary, the first corner is relatively slow, but like many corners around the Hungaroring, it's long. You'll want to be on the far left of the track as you approach and brake around the 70-80 metre mark, slap bang in between the 100 and 50 metres boards. The braking zone is fairly normal, brake heavy and hard in a straight line, and start to apply some steering lock just after the 50 metre board and aim for the apex. You'll want to drop down to second or third gear. Second gear will give you a slower mid-corner speed, but will help with a little extra rotation if you're going a little bit hot. You can ride up and over the first part of the curve at the apex just before you start applying the throttle again. Start to open your steering while increasing your throttle input, and pay attention to the DRS line as it comes at you before you've straightened your car properly. And you may actually not want to activate the DRS straight away. Only activate it once your car is straight and under control to avoid a spin. You can run onto the outside curb if needed, although try and keep off it as much as you can, and the green AstroTurf and the bumpy curb do make accelerating a little trickier. Once you're at full throttle, start to drift over to the right of the track in preparation for turn 2. Unusually, you can ride up and onto the outside curb just before braking to maximise the corner width. There aren't any great reference points as to when to start braking here, but you'll want to hit the brakes around 80 metres, just as the 100 metre board disappears from view. Start releasing the brake pedal and drift in towards the apex, drop into third gear in around 80 to 85 miles an hour. T2 is another long corner and it feels like you're waiting forever to start accelerating again, but be patient. Make sure you avoid touching the grey inside curb as this will throw you off track. And once you're at the apex, you can start to apply a small amount of throttle to push your car through the second part of the turn. Turn 3 is a very fast kink right, and you can be at full throttle through here. Run right over the inside curb and drift out wide to ensure you keep the throttle pressure at 100%. Then drift over to the right hand side of the track for turn 4. This corner is very fast and it's easy to make a mistake as the apex is completely blind. Much like turn 2, ride up and over the outside curb on the entry and start braking almost as soon as your wheel touches the curb. You'll only want a quick stab of the brake pedal before lifting off completely, turning in towards the apex and accelerating again. You can accelerate right through turn 4, applying around 50 to 60% throttle before you even ride over the inside curb. Take as much curb as you can to minimise the corner angle and get on the full throttle before you touch the outside curb and drift immediately over to the left of the track. Turn 5 is a long corner where you'll want a late apex. Again, there isn't much of a reference point for when to brake, but just try to hit the brake pedal before you reach the end of the right hand curb. You'll want a quick stab at the brake pedal, barely reaching around 100% brake pressure, before you lift off and turn into the corner. Shift down to 4th gear and carry as much speed as you possibly can through here. If you don't quite hit the apex, don't worry, as you can carry speed around the outside of this corner. Look to straighten up the car early and accelerate hard, drifting over the outside curb if needed. The next corner is a tricky chicane. Brake at around the 60 to 70 metre mark or just as you reach the start of the outside curb. Drop down to 3rd gear just as you start to turn in, and both parts of the corner feature large sausage curbs, which you'll want to avoid. Instead, staying in 3rd gear, try to take as much inside curb as you can without touching the sausage curbs. This will give you the shortest route through the chicane. Then use all of the exit curb, but ensure you don't touch the grass on the exit. The next chicanes aren't quite as slow as the previous. Brake while you're still riding over the outside curb just after the 50 metre board. You won't want full brake pressure here, instead a quick stab of the brakes to get to around 70% brake pressure before you release them again very quickly. Shift down to 4th gear and aim to take a lot of inside curb. It's very easy to miss the inside curb here and run wide, which will compromise your speed all the way down to turn 11. So getting this corner right is pretty important. Then drift far left after taking the apex. You'll just about reach full throttle before you have to release it again for turn 9. You can apply a tiny bit of brake pressure if needed, or just release the throttle and coast into the apex of T9. Take all of the inside curb here before accelerating, then utilise all of the exit curb. You should be at full throttle by the time you reach the outside curb. Turn 10 is a simple full throttle kink left before the fast turn 11. Stay far left on the approach to T11 using all of the entry curb on the outside. You won't need to touch the brake pedal on the entry, simply lift off just after touching the entry curb and throw the car into the corner. Try to take some curb on the inside, you'll see that I just missed it on my lap, then run out wide and over the whole of the exit curb. Ensure you keep your front wheel just inside the white line, otherwise you'll get a track limits warning. Turn 12 is very traditional. Brake at full pressure around 70 metres just before you reach the entry curb. Keep your car very straight and start to turn in just after the 50 metre board. Then trail off the brake pedal and aim to take some curb on the inside. You should shift down to third gear just before starting to accelerate through the turn. Use some curb on the exit, but be wary of the slippery green AstroTurf just past the curb. Turn 13 is my least favourite on the whole track, as it's just so slow, long and awkward. Ensure your car is far right on the track and start braking just past the shadow from the DHL sign. If the time of day is different, start braking around halfway through the entry curb or just as the black sign on the right disappears from view. You have to apply some steering input while braking here, but start to release the brake pedal before you start fully turning into the corner. Trail brake into the corner, drop into third gear. You can drop to second if you run out a little too wide to bring the car back towards the apex. Aim for a slightly late apex to allow you to get good acceleration down towards the final turn, and again don't touch the inside curb as it will almost always spin your car around. Use the entry of the pit lane to allow you to accelerate hard as you drift out wide and then pull over to the left of the track. The last corner on the track will see you taking another late apex to give you the best acceleration onto the pit straight. Start braking just as the floodlight disappears on the left of your screen and drop down to fourth gear at the DRS detection line. Turn into the corner while releasing the brake pedal fully and start to accelerate around the turn. Only apply around 30 to 40 to 50% throttle, increasing the throttle pressure as you get further around the corner. Look for a late apex as soon as the coloured curbs start on the inside and accelerate hard out of the corner. This DRS line also comes at you fast, so don't miss it. And that will round out a lap of the Hungaroring in F1 22. This isn't one of my favourite tracks, but it can be very fast and it requires you to be on the ball at all times as there's always a corner coming at you. You really don't get a rest around here. There are a few tricky sequences, but the most dangerous are the inside curbs at turn 2 and 13. If you touch these, you'll spin almost every time. Then you have to be careful of the outside curb of turn 1, as you can easily get out of shape if you apply too much throttle while riding over this corner. The middle of the lap itself is very hard to overtake on, so ensure you get a good exit out of turn 14 and turn 1 to be in the best place to attack or defend from other cars. If you want the best setup for Hungary, I'll leave a link in the description below or in the pop-out card now for our optimised race setup. That setup will give you the best platform to perform well during a race in my team or your career mode. And in terms of making changes to that setup since the 1.06 patch released recently, you can watch our video on what to change after the patch. I'll also leave a link to that in the description below. Let me know in the comments below how you found this track guide. Do you like Hungary and are you looking forward to the race this weekend? Also smash that like button as that will really help out, and subscribe if you like this sort of content and want to see more sim racing and F1 22 content every day. But for now guys, enjoy the track and I'll see you out there.